Income inequality is very important because we all live in the same society. Most people have an intuitive sense of fairness and evaluate their own situation relative to others in the economy. That's why the distribution of income is going to be important for the public, and the public will care about economic disparity. So in the case of the United States, the overall shape of income concentration over a century is a big U-shape with high levels of income concentration before World War II, with the top 10% income earners getting about half of total income. Great fortunes were created during the phase of industrialization in the United States. So they were known, as the Gilded Age of the late 19th century, the robber barons. People with extremely large fortunes and getting very large income. So that's why the income concentration is so large in that pre-Great Depression period. The two large shocks of the Great Depression and World War II significantly reduced top fortunes. But on top of that, the New Deal, which is a set of very tight financial regulations and the development of extremely progressive taxation, prevented those top fortunes from recovering from the shocks of the Great Depression and World War II. So the top 10% income shares fall down to about 33% and stays low at that level for 2 decades. Post-war, the US is a country with a low level of inequality, so it's hard to remember this today, but actually the top marginal income tax rate in the United States is above 70% from 1933 all the way until Reagan gets elected. With the election of Ronald Reagan, the New Deal policies start being reversed with deregulation and a sharp, drastic lowering of the top income tax rate down to 28%. The very striking finding is that starting in the late 1970s, the top 10% income share starts to rise and has been rising for decades, so that in recent years, we've reached levels of almost half of total pre-tax income going to the top 10% families. When I say the top 10%, I mean families today earning more than $114,000. Top 1% are families earning more than $394,000 today. And so if you split the top 10% into 3 groups, such as the top 1%, the next 4%, and then the next 5%, you will find that almost all of the increase in the top 10% income share that has taken place since the 1970s is really due to a surge in the top 1%. The share of income has increased dramatically from less than 10% in the 70s to over 20% in recent years. So officially, the Great Recession ends in 2009. And for the last 3 years or 4 years, the US has experienced economic growth. If you remove the top 1% and hence focus solely on the bottom 99%, you find that the top 1% indeed have recovered pretty well from the Great Recession, and they have experienced overall from 2009 to 2012 about a 30% real income growth. In contrast, if you remove the top 1% and you look solely at the bottom 99%, you find that for that group that represents the vast majority of Americans, real economic growth per family has been essentially zero. This big increase in income concentration cannot be driven solely by changes in technologies or globalization that perhaps would have favored top talent and hence rewarded those at the top of the distribution. And the reason for that is this increase has not taken place in all countries. And France, Japan, and other European countries have also gone through the same technological transformation as the US. The countries that have experienced large increases in income concentration, such as the United States or the United Kingdom, are precisely the countries that cut their top tax rate the most. In contrast, countries such as France or Japan or Scandinavian countries, which didn't cut nearly as much their top tax rates haven't seen that increase in income concentration. There is a very strong link between the shape of income concentration over time in the US and the shape of the top tax rate over time. The bottom 99% incomes can grow very fast and the economy can do well in the period where the top tax rates were very high. The historical record for the United States or the cross-country comparison suggests that taxing top incomes more does not reduce economic growth and could actually be beneficial for the bottom 99% because rich countries today tax a very substantial share of income to fund a number of programs, and including health benefits, retirement benefits, education. And as a result, this would likely ultimately produce a trickle-down phenomenon where the income would flow down to the bottom 99%.